You need tribe. You cannot do this by yourself.
Yeah.
You need someone to tell you you're not crazy.
Right.
You need someone to tell you, oh, you thought that was nuts? Let me tell you what happened to me.
Yeah.
You need someone to be like,
Yeah.
this is hard.
Right.
You're right. It's hard. You know what? I love my kids. I don't like them today.
Right.
This is happening and it's real.
Okay, so should we have a formal introduction? We should.
Only for the viewers, because there's nothing formal about us.
Absolutely. But I do feel like it is important to talk about all the different accolades that you have accomplished. You have had one hell of a journey, and I have been able to witness it from the very, very beginning, and I'm so proud of you. So yes, Grammy Award winner. Yes, platinum recording artist. For me, the most important title at this point is mother.
That's the one.
Melanie, here we are. I can't believe it. We met a lifetime ago.
A
lifetime ago, right?
Yeah.
It was in Northern California, the Bay Area. And I remember you were, oh, it's Melanie Fiona. She's coming to the radio station. I was like, oh my gosh. And it was just a moment. It was so amazing. And you had this beautiful aura then. You still have it now. And I'm pretty disappointed in myself that I haven't done a good job keeping up. Like, I feel like I haven't done a good job keeping in touch. And I think that just comes with life and like immaturity of not realizing the importance of being connected with great people like yourself. So I failed.
That.
I failed that.
No, you didn't, because guess what? Had you failed that and you called, I wouldn't have been here today.
Yes. Okay,
but
fair
I came
enough.
because even though it's been some time since we've actually had a one-on-one.
Yes.
When I got the call, I was like, oh, it's Nessa. I'm there. And I wouldn't do that just for everybody. I'm going to be completely honest.
I know.
You know, because everybody wants something or somebody's calling for something. But you are, in fact, truly someone I know from a lifetime ago, from the very beginning of my journey. From the moment we met, I remember being like,
I've known
friends.
Yes, we could be friends.
I remember people would be like, you guys kind of look alike.
Yes.
And I used to be like, all the time, this is my girl every time I go to
Yes.
the Bay. So to see your journey as
Thank
well.
you.
Even from a distance.
Thank you.
So happy for both of us.
You're making me cry because
No.
it's different hearing it from someone that you really admire and adore.
Oh.
And I feel all of that for you. And while, of course, I love your voice and everything that you've done creatively, I'm just in awe of you being a wonderful mother and balancing all these worlds together, right? I mean, it's not just music and motherhood. It's you having honest conversations that are really, really important. And just seeing you evolve it's a joy. It's a joy.
Thank you.
It's a joy.
And that's all we're after these days is joy. Okay? That's what we want. That's what we deserve. So I love to be part of that for you.
What's a joyful moment in your life that you could relive over and over and never get sick of?
I could easily point to any of the beautiful blessings that are my children or my husband. However, riding an elephant in a Thai river is my joyful, happy place. Like even when I was, this was in 2013, I performed in Japan for New Year's, and I was like, I'm gonna go to Thailand after. Who's my boyfriend then, but now my husband, he was there. And he was like, I'm going to come with you. Well, actually, I was like, no, you should come. Like, we should go. We should make it a trip.
Right.
So we go to Thailand, and we went to Chiang Mai, which is a city in the northern part. And I rode an elephant through this beautiful preserved rainforest, and then down into this river, and I bathed this baby elephant. His name was Burro. He was incredible. Wow. And I remember laughing so joyfully that my innermost youngest version of myself was alive and well. And I literally, that moment, if I could bottle that up and sell it, we would be gazillionaires. Because that moment of joy for me was definitely like, anytime I think about it through therapy, even preparing for birth, when they were like, think of your happy place. That is my happy place.
Wow.
I go back to that elephant and just bathing him and him spraying me with water. And I remember hearing the pitch of my laugh. I was like, I haven't laughed like this since I was a child. This free, high-pitched giggle. And that is a moment of joy that lives rent-free, thank God, in my head forever.
Wow.
Yeah, priceless.
I did not expect that
Yeah.
right now. Wait, what do you think it was about you connecting with the elephant? What was it that just brought so much joy, or just there was obviously some type of synergy going on?
Definitely. So I think the year leading up to that trip was a huge spiritual transformation for me. Emotional, physical, just mental. I had evolved. I felt like 2012 was my awakening year.
Right.
So 2013 was my year of manifesting and being in all the things that I felt like I had welcomed into my life in a healthy space. So I think connecting with nature in general is just always a gift. And it's not something, at the time I was living in New York, so like nature is not the first thing that comes to your mind. So I think to just go somewhere new, be on the other side of the planet, be in the water. I'm a Cancer, so I'll be in the water, love it. And I think just doing something that was equally new and exciting, but also terrifying.
Right.
You know, being around this massive multi-ton elephant.
Yes.
It could go bad at any moment, but I didn't feel unsafe. And I think the safety of everything just let me know that I was connected with God, and like that was where I was supposed to be. I think that it was just it was a healing moment. Everything, cleansing this baby elephant. The mother was there, feeding it bananas, walking with it on these trails, having these photos, and then looking back and seeing that it's my husband now that was with me on that journey. I think it's just a really beautiful captured moment in time for me. Unforgettable.
Wow.
Yeah, and I tell everyone, like, you should ride an elephant for sure.
Wow.
Yeah, and they're my favorite animals.
Oh my goodness. Even before or after?
No, before always.
Oh, okay, wait. There is a connection.
Yeah.
There is something there.
I just love elephants, how big they are. First of all, elephants feel emotions.
Oh.
I'm a Cancer again, so I feel all the emotions. But elephants feel emotions, and elephants love their children, and elephants they can cause so much damage, but they don't. They're gentle. They're vegetarians. I love elephants.
And they have great memories.
Great memories. They're extremely intelligent.
Yeah,
Yes.
I like that.
Yes.
Because I remember things.
Yes.
I keep receipts, for sure.
Wait, are you a Capricorn?
I'm a Taurus.
Oh, yeah, might as well. Virgo, Capricorn, Taurus, all y'all. Earth
Receipts.
signs.
It's right there.
Receipts.
It's like, I want to go back a little bit in time, and I do want to focus on music a little bit, because for so many of us, we fell in love with your voice. When did you first fall in love with music?
Oh, I was small. You know, if you ask my mom, I was born clearing my throat in the doctor when I was born. Like most babies are crying, I was going
getting ready.
And the doctor said we either have a smoker or a singer. In the day I was born.
Stop it.
Yes, the day I was born. Then my mom told me I couldn't fall asleep without like Whitney Houston being blasted by my crib. And so I could honestly think, being 3 or 4, and my dad has told me this story, but I definitely have recollection of it. Singing with my dad playing on guitar in the park to The Greatest Love of All by Whitney Houston. And it was Whitney Houston that made me fall in love with music, 100%. There's no question about it. I don't know what 4-year-old I knew I was singing about heartbreak and infidelity, but I was big, from the top of my lungs singing Saving All My Love for You, not knowing it was about being a side chick. You know, but at 4 years old.
Crazy? Like, I didn't realize these things until I was way older.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, what?
What are we talking about right now? Why are we saying this? But you know what the thing about, and I think that that's the thing about the beauty of voice and the beauty of music, is that sometimes it doesn't have to make sense. Sometimes it just makes you feel something.
Right.
And I knew I felt something every time I heard Whitney Houston. And I knew I felt something every time I sang. And ironically, as a little kid, I was actually quite, not really maybe little, but as I got older, I was actually terrified to sing in front of people.
Really?
Which is really
so
odd.
Because
it didn't start like that. But then, like we all know, there's something that comes in, insecurity, a stolen innocence, something that makes us just aware of like, could I be hurt by this? Could I feel scared by this? I love to sing in my room, but if my mom called me to sing in front of the family, I would like, nobody look at me. I would never have thought who that little girl was at that point would be who I'd become on stage, because being on stage is my favorite part, and I'm fearless about it.
Over songwriting, over just creating music, you would pick stage.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean,
I love it.
I mean, that's, you can do it.
I love it. I love it. I'm good at it.
That's
and,
right.
And I just love the people.
Yep.
I love the people. And it's not about the praise for me. It's about the healing. It's about the connection. It's about looking at someone in their eyes and being like, I'm with you. I feel you. I wrote this for you. I sing this for you.
Yeah.
And then I'm hella funny on stage. So like I get to like be myself, which is like the best part.
Oh, it's so beautiful. Do you think that maybe that's why you joined a group initially? Because, you know, being from Canada, you were part of the Renaissance.
Yeah.
And do you feel like that helped you realize, I can't do a group thing. I got to be a solo artist?
I never ever thought that I would be in a group ever. And even before the Renaissance, I was in a girl group for a small point. And that kind of just, I looked at as an entry point into the music industry because it was what was presented to me. But I had never thought about being in a girl group or being in a group in itself and a collective.
I can't see you in a group, period.
No.
You are definitely a solo artist.
Oh, thanks. Yes. I'll take that as a good thing.
Not because you can't share.
I don't play nice in the sandbox.
It's not even that. I just think your voice is so, it's like its own person that it can be intimidating for other people to be around, right? It doesn't mean that you personally can't vibe within a group. It's just your voice is its own. Right? Do you know what I mean?
I think I was always intended to be a solo vocalist.
Right.
But again, group dynamics they help you find your voice. They actually really do. For me, it did show me that I wasn't going to thrive in a group situation. And now the thing with the Renaissance, that was a really unique situation because that was Drake and a couple other amazing artists and musicians from Toronto, and we kind of just were creating a collective. And I was the only girl in it, and so we were each individual artists, but we're creating a movement to have like a show that we could take and go around. And so even that had its season, and you know, Drake is now Drake. Right. So it's really beautiful to know, though, that each one of these experiences, whatever it is, and I kind of look at that with everything in life, they're just there to teach you and mold you and show you something.
Are you still friendly with Drake?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Would he allow you to use his big private jet? Like, you know, if we have to do a family vacation,
you
can
know
you
what?
call up Drake?
You know what? I've never put that call in, but you know, times, you never know.
Times are times.
Times are times. We got multiple kids now. We need space.
He's a parent. He understands. It's hard going through the airport with a child. Are you
understand?
kidding me?
You got an extra seat.
Right.
An extra car seat.
Right. It's a lot that goes behind, you know, traveling with a child. Oh, it's exhausting. But we'll talk
get there.
more about motherhood for sure. Okay, so right now, musically, where are things for you? Are you signed to a record label or are you independent?
So I am independent.
Okay.
I'm so happy.
Yes, this is the happiest I've seen you ever.
I'm so happy about it because I feel blessed to be in a space where after this much time, so much foundation and support throughout my career, I still get to do what I love and I get to do it how I want to do it and I get to do it differently and I get to say that I could experience both. I've experienced both the massive undertaking it is to be signed to major labels and to tour with huge artists and get around the world and do all of that and be on the road with 0 hours of sleep and going on adrenaline and hype and excitement and ego and all these wonderful things. And now, I said all these wonderful things, and now I get to do these even more wonderful things where I'm in a place of being mature and knowing who I am and knowing what I want to say and who I want to be and who I am to these young people in my life, my children, as a partner to my husband, as a woman in this world, and feeling the freedom to do that is just really a gift. And so that's why I say it's a blessing. So yeah.
I mean, your first baby, your debut album, The Bridge, turned 14.
Dang, girl.
Your baby turned 14.
Yeah.
The Bridge, I can't believe it turned 14 because I remember it like it was yesterday. Do you feel that way? Like, oh, it just was yesterday it came out.
Yes.
And here we are saying it's 14 years old.
14 years old. Like it's shocking to me. Like it really does make me like pause and take inventory of like how fast time flies. And then also to take stock of, damn, you did some really cool along the way, you know? And to say that I even put out 1 or 2 albums publicly is such a huge feat. And like I think even though there's been so much time and I don't know, like I have such a great reverence for time, but I also try not to watch it too hard. You know what I mean? Like if I were to watch it too hard, I'd be like, oh, you can't do music. You put your first album out 14 years ago. Okay. And
right.
Like music is a timeless
That's
language. Like,
right.
What are we talking about? As long as I have air in these lungs, I have purpose on this earth. Ooh. I can do whatever I want to do. It's a beautiful thing, I think, when I look back and I say, wow, 14 years of having people who still listen to this music, who still talk about this music, who still ask me, when are we getting more? Right. And I know that that's something that beautiful, that's like, I feel about that way about Lauryn Hill. You know, the miseducation of Lauryn Hill. Like, I don't need another miseducation of Lauryn Hill. She gave it to us already.
That's right.
But do I want endless amounts of Lauryn Hill? Yes, because you gave me something that gave me so much life that I love you and I will wait for whatever it is that you give to us again. And so when I have fans and people who ask me still, when is the music? Whenever you're ready, girl. Right. We here for you, girl. We are. You know, like I feel so blessed for that. I'm so grateful that people still checking for me.
How do you feel like you've changed from then to now?
Oh, wow. I think I have found me. Ooh. I think I found me. I think even when we talk about the bridge was a bridge of many things that I feel that I was made up of. Right. Culturally, genres, personalities, songs, ideas, influences with co-creators, wanting to be the bridge of all of those things, And then in my second project, the MF Life, that felt more like me. I had way more creative input, way more writing, way more control, way more this. It was still my voice. And I think now through this time in getting ready to create a new project, which is what I'm working on now, is that I have been through some things where I even realized, even when I thought I knew who I was still too much being directed and influenced by other people around me whose voice I trusted more than I trusted my own. Damn. And so by clearing out those people and clearing out that space, I've been able to get in touch with myself truly for the first time. And now, as not a version of who I was as a young woman coming up in the world, but who I'm going to be for the rest of my life. Ooh. A wife, a woman, a partner, a parent, a contributor, an artist. I think it's the evolution of who I am now. And that actually gives me more confidence and just more happiness.
What 3 songs of yours do you feel like you're personally connected to the most? Not what the fans love. No. Yours.
Mine. Wrong Side of a Love Song, which is off the MF Life. That song to me is really, really special. That song, I feel like, was the most magical I was on that project, because I feel like I took everything that I had learned from every great mentor. Shout out to Andrea Martin, who taught me how to let the art use you and let it flow through you, and to allow your spirit to speak. And I remember I went into the studio. I was working with Jack Splash, and we did like a session, and then I had to go catch a flight. And he's like, all throughout the session, he was like, I have this song, I have this idea, this music I want you to hear, but I'll play it for you at the end. And so I was packing up my stuff, and I was like, oh, what was that music that you played? And he was like, oh yeah, let me play it for you. So he plays it, and I heard like 10 seconds of it, and I was like, turn on the microphone. And I went in the booth, and I freestyled about 80% of what you hear on that record, where like certain things didn't make sense, but they were just kind of melodies and open, but what came out was pretty much what's on that record. And so I just went back in at another date and filled in the holes. But right then and there, I had known, like, this is one of your greatest things that you have created. And I felt so proud of myself in that moment, because it felt true to who I was, what I was experiencing, what I was feeling inside but wasn't saying. I was forecasting what was about to happen. The person I was singing about in that relationship, we ended up breaking up after. And so it just felt like I had already known where I was headed. Yeah. And the music was just leading me there. So Wrong Side of a Love Song is definitely one. Fool for You with Cee-Lo.
Of course.
A magic moment again.
Won a Grammy for that.
2 Grammys for that.
2 Grammys, yes.
And literally Quiet as Kept, like, that is just all rooted. The success of that record, it was a #1 record. Quiet as Kept, nobody knows. We never shot a music video. We've performed it only twice together in our entire careers. And I recorded the song separately from him. because he was on tour and he were like, oh, you're gonna record this song with Cee-Lo. He reached out and I remember there's a whole backstory. I went into his dressing room at Soul Train Awards like a few months prior and I was like, I'm a huge fan of yours. Like, I love you. I would love to do a song with you. Like, please call, please reach out. So then a few months later he does. And then my manager, one of the guys from my team, from my management team, he's like, hey, you know, you got that Cee-Lo session tomorrow. I'm like, oh, or today. And I was like, today? I was like, I didn't even know this session was happening. He's like, yeah, tonight at the studio, you got to go. I'm like, what's the song? Like, what are we doing? Like, I had no idea.
No.
I wrote the song. I wrote my verse in the parking lot in the rain outside the studio before going in. I listened to the song all the way through because it had already been out and ours was a re-release.
Right.
And I listened to the song in the car all the way up to the studio. And then he's like, I'm going to go in and check on the studio. I was like, great, leave me here in the car. And I wrote it in 30 minutes, went inside, recorded it. And I turned to the engineer and I was like, is it just me or is this really, really good? And
right.
I don't really like be like, good job. Because we're artists and we're insecure about our shit. So we're like, are people going to love it?
Right.
But I felt so good.
Wow.
I was like, I feel like I did it. I feel like I did a really good job on this. And I had no idea the magic that it would be. It would go on to become people's wedding songs. It's the song that I open my show with. It is just high energy. And I just love that type of funk and soul and sass. And then just being a part of a wonderful song and artist, it was really a dream come true for me. And then it got me the highest amount of successive accolades. So like, I was like, wow. Like,
what a win.
A win all around.
Absolutely.
And just completely unforced. That's the thing.
That's the best part.
The best.
That's the best part of
the
this.
Best.
When you actually won the Grammy and you were running to the stage to receive it, what were you thinking at that moment?
Okay, so first of all, Whitney Houston died the night before.
Oh.
And I was in shambles.
Oh, man.
All day. I was crying and I felt gutted because I didn't ever get a chance to meet her.
Oh.
And it was just like this heartbreak that I was carrying. And I remember I was there with my parents and my whole team, and we were sitting like way, because it was like in the pre-show, and we were sitting way in like the back. And the moment was so like shocking that we were celebrating, and then they started playing the music like, we'll accept the award. And I was like, no, here I come. Because I'm realizing like, I got to go get this record. And then Cee-Lo wasn't there. So I had to go get it for us.
Oh,
and so then I'm running up there in these 6-inch Louboutins, like, child, that era of my life is done.
Right.
Comfort is my life. But these shoes, I'm running up and I'm thinking, and I'm like, I didn't have a speech prepared. And the first thing I got up there and said so innocently was like, hi, everyone. I'm Melanie Fiona, and it's so nice to meet all of you, because I literally felt like I was meeting the world for the first time. And this is now after It Kills Me having a massive success, touring the world, meeting with, being with Alicia and Kanye and all these people and like accomplishing so much.
Yeah.
But standing on that stage, I felt like my young version, like 4-year-old Melanie in the room who's singing in the hairbrush, gets up there and is like, hi, like I've been waiting to meet all of you my whole life.
I can see this though.
Mm-hmm. And then I realized the responsibility that I had to accept on behalf of everyone.
Right.
And so I was like, don't forget anything, but I just felt like you arrived. Like everything that you had been through, it's like, here you are off of great work that you created, honest work that you created, hard work that you created, and this is your moment.
Yeah.
Like, be in it. And I just remember I could see myself. I would go back and if I ever watch that speech, I'm always like, look at how giddy you are. But truly an unforgettable moment. And then knowing my parents are there.
Oh my
parents are there.
That's the moment.
My whole team, they're there. And I'm like, oh, all the days when we were thinking about these moments and hoping to get here, and here we are,
Wow.
So
now I'm replaying you running.
Yes.
And I'm like, that run is a little different. It's a little different.
You know what it feels like? It's like The Price is Right. You're the next contestant. Come on down. And you're like, it's my time. My number got called,
You know what? I love that for you. I also know how hard it's been in the industry, right? Well, in general, for artists, musicians, I just feel like it's hard, man.
Yeah.
There's a lot of politics, industry politics. How do you feel, if at all, industry politics hindering or trying to hinder your career? Is that a thing? You know, for people who are just like fans and consumers, they're like, we hear these stories. Is it real?
Oh, it's real.
The politics in the industry.
It's real. When you're in any industry where money is there, and that's most industries. Right? Money, capitalism, greed,
Come on
money.
now. Yes.
You know, and I always say this is like, we come into these things as people, and yes, people will look at you in the industry like you're a person, but you're a product. And you can ask anybody in the music industry. They'll tell you, you're only as hot as your last hit.
That's it.
And if you really believe that, you will never create anything else.
That's right.
And that is this thing that they make you, that not everyone, but I've definitely experienced when, if you're hot, you're hot. I see my husband, he manages artists. I see him go through it with his artists. I see him go through it with his producers. I see my peers go through it. I see it all. It's a very real thing when you are dealing with personalities, egos, money, competition,
Right.
you know, side deals of people who have personal relationships. Well, what can you do for me? I can do this for you. Like, there's so many factors that I think go into any industry.
Right.
And I think the beautiful thing about where I was, I think in a time when it was big machine and
Right.
lots of things. Like I remember one time there was this radio station. They literally told my publicist, like, well, what is she going to come on and talk about? I don't know, music?
They said that?
Oh, yeah. They said that.
See, we don't forget things.
No, we don't forget those things.
No.
And I know exactly who said it.
Ooh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I know exactly who said it. And
Okay,
every time,
yes, you must tell me.
I know exactly who said it. And I was
Yes.
very shocked because I hope that person would have had more musical integrity to be like, we're going to have her on because she's Melanie Fiona, an artist who's proven that she's given us good music. We've played her music. But because...
Wait. This is when...
This is right around the time, last time I saw you.
No.
Yes. And I was...
so you're accomplished. You won
yeah.
awards. Like, this is...
Oh, yeah. This is me getting ready to try to promote my project that I was getting ready to release, my third project. Yes. That never came out. But these were the types of things that I was like, okay, well, I can go into the radio station. We have no. The politics of, well, what is she going to... Oh, because you want reality stars on your radio show.
That's
now.
right.
Because you want to talk about salacious things.
Right.
And I want to talk about music and I don't want to gossip.
Right.
And I don't want you to ask me what my opinion is on anyone else.
And also you aren't in that world like that, right? Like, we're not seeing headlines of Melanie Fiona. Like, that's just what it is. That's one of the things I love about you.
I just have never been down with the get down.
Right.
I just can't.
Wow.
It's just not who I am. And anytime I've ever thought about straddling that line, I quickly get corrected.
You know for sure they said that?
Oh, for sure.
Oh my
My publicist told me.
Wow.
Yeah.
We don't believe... Wait, do we believe the publicist?
100%.
Okay. All right. Fair.
Because
I just find it so appalling to me as somebody who's in radio that really loves the conversation, right? Like, I want to know what was your favorite song? Why? What was going through your mind? And all of these things. Like, it just makes me...
Because
it makes me sad.
You have integrity, and you've shown that through your career and in your life's work. So that's like... Not everybody has that. And that's also fine. That's also fine.
Right.
But those necessarily just aren't your people. Oof. And so that's okay. And that's okay for me.
What do you do in those moments? Because I feel like I'm too sensitive. If I was an artist, I'd just be in shambles all the time, right?
You know, it definitely can affect you because I mean, I definitely felt like, damn, like,
really?
Are we still dealing with this?
Right.
Like, I'm not worthy to be in this space because of a quota or a click that you need.
Say it again.
You know what I mean?
Yes,
and
I know. Yes,
and it is hurtful, and it makes me sad that when I think about the way I feel about music and why I want to do music and why people do love music.
Right.
I think it's sad that there are those boundaries that are put because of the entertainment value of the world that we live in now.
Right.
There's just so much to consume. But the beautiful part about it is that, like, you don't necessarily need other people's platforms anymore. You could be your own platform.
Which you are.
You can create your own audience. And so
that's right.
I love that I get to be in a place right now where I get to decide, do I even want to go to the radio station? Do I even want to go to the radio station?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I don't anymore.
Maybe only for Nessa.
Maybe. Always for Nessa.
Always for Nessa.
Always for Nessa. Always for Nessa.
Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about, before we got to the year of you having your great awakening, because I think that's important. The third album didn't come out. Why?
I was in a situation where I was getting ready to put out an independent project.
Got it.
I got pregnant, and I had my son. I finished the project, and my real answer is I don't know why that album never came out. But I knew that let me know that it wasn't the right situation for me.
Right.
And so I had to work myself out of that situation.
So it wasn't on your terms it didn't come out. It was because of the contractual whatever it was.
Correct.
Got it.
Which is really odd because I feel like contractually I delivered.
Yeah. So you did record the songs.
Oh, yeah. There was a whole album that was created.
Oh, we need answers at some point.
We'll get them. Yes, we'll get them in the music. So it was really funny. There was this one like YouTube video where this woman did this like expose. I'm like, what really happened to Melanie Fiona? I was like, girl, if you want to know, you should have just asked.
Right.
She just came up with all these theories. I was like, people are going to decide whatever they want to decide.
Right.
You know, some people were just like, she left music to be a mom, and it was like, I never stopped doing music. I've always been performing. I've always been singing. I've never stopped. Like I never actually was like, the only time I thought I was going to stop was when I was trying to get myself out of that situation.
Right.
As
I remember the situation, by the way.
So burnt out. I was so exhausted. I was so hurt and heartbroken that I was like, I don't think I could do this anymore. I don't think that this is the relationship I'm supposed to have with music.
I felt like it was always strained. I'm gonna be honest. I always felt like those. I felt.
You mean
like,
from the beginning?
Yes.
Interesting.
I did. From the first time we met, I could. It wasn't on you though. I could feel the dynamics, and not your disappointment, but I think there was. You're so hungry and you're wanting to work and you have all this energy, and it almost felt like who you were working with didn't have that exact same energy. Like I didn't feel like they were just as like Melanie, you were out here working very, very, very hard. The excitement that you had behind your music, the pride that you had behind the music. I didn't necessarily feel like who you were working with at that time, if it's the same reason, like the same people that you're working with for the third album not coming out, I could totally see it. So I don't know if it's the same, but if it is, I felt it.
You know, the one thing that I will say is that good, bad, or indifferent, because there's perception and how people think and like what they think. And I'm very grateful for my team from that time.
Right.
Very, very grateful, because everything that I was ever able to accomplish, I did accomplish with them.
That's amazing.
And so that to me will always be a gift.
Right.
No matter what direction it ended up going in.
Right.
Yeah.
And also though, it doesn't necessarily always mean like it's the direct people you're working with. Like, you know, a lot of times fans and consumers are watching, we don't realize, oh, like maybe that team was great, but there's so many other people in these situations that are involved that are considered the higher ups or whatever. There's so many moving parts in these situations.
I mean, unlike if I'm just sharing, if I'm being completely honest, like when I was signed to Universal Records, I think I had 6 product managers on one project.
Yeah.
Like,
and that's regular.
and that's turnover. Like these are the things that like people don't think about in the music industry. Like somebody got fired, there's someone else coming in. Oh, well, I was just building a relationship with that person. Oh, well, now there's a new person. Oh, well, that person's getting ready to leave. It's very difficult. So this is what we're saying. Like when we're talking about politics and things that like people talk about in the industry, there's so many factors as to why somebody can be successful or not.
Yes.
And there's so many people, everything has to go right.
Yeah.
And even the things that go wrong have to go right. Like it is so intense. It's so intense. So again, like there were lots of things that I think I could look back and be like, oh my gosh, like that person dropped the ball. Like I gave the person to run the ball and they
dropped
were
it.
like, bye, you know? But at the end of the day, we're still here.
Absolutely. And I'm really happy that you have taken that and, you know, just turned it into a positive, because I could see why an artist can get upset and bitter.
Baby, these artists would be like,
did you ever experience that where you're just like, man, I deserve more? I worked hard enough that I expected the return on the work to be more. And you were just like, that made me sad.
To me personally, it was more about some of the relationships I had to walk away from.
Oh, that's tough.
That was some of the hardest stuff that I've had to endure in my professional career. That's some of the hard stuff. And I think a lot of people don't talk openly about that just because their egos are always involved. But I just live my life in a place where I don't want to hold any ill energy or feelings or like none of it. Like I just look at everything as an experience, you know?
So positive.
And you have to, there's just so much that can consume you when you're there. And if I plan on being a vessel for art and vulnerability and music and healing, if that's who I plan to be, I can't carry all of it with me. I can't carry every wrongdoing, every person who dropped the ball. Prime example that people don't even know about. Wrong Side of a Love song. I was given the opportunity after so much like pushing from my team and all the favors and the calls of performing it on the BET Awards. And it was a huge moment for my career. It became what was viral moment for me in that time. And I want to say the next day, the next day, the label shut everything that was going down with the project I was signed to, like the label I was signed to, froze everything the next day.
Why?
For things that had nothing to do with me. Right?
Oh,
so it was like, we just made all this momentum and we could have taken it all the way.
Wow.
And it was like, and it was like, oh my gosh, but this has nothing to do with me. But I was wrapped up in it. You know, that's the game. And that's the game. It's business, you know? And so that's where it gets tricky when art and business meet, you know? And so beautifully now is that a lot of artists are in charge of their business, which is great.
Yes.
Which is great.
Right.
And they have much more of a say in their business now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? I was so surprised about the year of the Great Awakening, 2012 for you. I didn't know that you lost your voice.
Oh, checked out. Gone. In fact, I'm trying to think of a...
I mean, when we say, like, back to the beginning of the interview, when you're a baby coming out and you're clearing your throat and the doctor's like, she's either going to be a singer or a smoker, and you truly are a singer. The thought of losing your voice, I cannot imagine for you right now.
Terrifying. It was absolutely terrifying. I remember my MD, Tracy, at the time, praying over my voice. We were at Essence Fest and I had to go sing. And I just remember, how am I going to get through this? And I literally only believe it was through prayer because my voice was checking out at 30 minutes. I could not I had to use every muscle in my body to sing those songs. Now, you know, I sing big ballad songs.
Yes.
They're not for the weak. So it was anxiety inducing every time. I couldn't figure out what was going on. I was going hoarse. I went to see several ear, nose, and throat doctors, and they were all like, your vocal cords are fine. So
that makes it even scarier.
Scarier, because you're like, what is this?
Right.
And it was only one doctor that was like, what kind of a year have you had?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh.
And I feel like this isn't what a doctor usually would say.
No.
Right?
No. It was two doctors, actually. One doctor asked me how my year was going. The second doctor who referred me to all the ear, nose, and throats, he was my doctor in New York, an incredible doctor who was very familiar with many entertainers. And he had gotten me through so many, you know, unwell moments before. So he just said to me, he was like, I'd really like to refer you to some Eastern medicine. And I was like, okay. And he was like, I think what's happening to you is energetic. And at this point now, because physical, they've already told me you got a clean bill of health, nothing is wrong.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I literally just moved across the country. I'm heartbroken as all hell because I just got out of this long relationship that I was in. I thought was going to last forever.
Yes. I remember.
And I was like, you know, I'm starting over and I'm getting ready to put out a new project and I feel completely depleted. And more importantly, I have no spiritual or faith grounding. I'm going and I'm working and I'm pushing and I'm going and I'm working and I'm pushing and I'm not grounded. And that was my wake up call to be like.
And you trusted it. Because, you know, someone could think like, oh, what's that really going to do?
No, I think it was time. And I think people always ask, like, how did you find your road to spirituality? Or like, how do you find that grounding for yourself that keeps your mindfulness and wellness? Like, that was my moment to arrive there.
Right.
And I had to get the thing that would scare me the most to be taken away from me.
Damn.
My voice.
Yeah.
God, the universe was like, hey, you're not paying attention to what you need to be paying attention to. That is your word. That is your energy. That is your body.
Your
that is
wellness.
Your wellness. That is who you are around. That is how you say no. That is how you set a boundary for yourself. Everything. Everything that you think is finding you and challenging you, you are causing it. So you need to start being more accountable for how you show up in this world. And it literally was like, I'm going to, and I believe this, and some people watching or listening might be like, nah, girl, you just, no. I can only explain it as spiritual because I had spiritual and physical reactions on this healing journey. And so once my voice started to go, I was open to anything that was going to get it back. And I was like, and this was someone I trusted. So
how did you find trust though? Because that could be, you know, you could be weary about the situation.
I think just who I am as a person, I've always been a very spiritual, intuitive person. From a young girl, I've always felt very gifted, psychic, clairvoyant, very connected to things greater than myself. And I think in that time, on that journey, what I was being called to recognize is you cannot do this without faith and grounding.
Right.
And you don't have it. And you don't have it. You have success. You have people around you.
Sure.
You've got fans. You got people who know your name.
Nice bank account.
Nice bank account. You got a nice place in New York. Like, you doing it. But do you have the real wealth of life? And I didn't. And that's what led me to have to believe, like, if you're going to live in your greatest purpose, this has to be a part of who you are. And that was my wake-up call immediately.
What was the Eastern medicine that brought your voice back?
Acupuncture and Reiki, energy healing. Yeah.
I hear about this and I'm always like, does this work? But clearly it does, because your voice came back.
Oh yeah, it came back. And the craziest part is I'd gotten a call to go on tour with Mary J. and D'Angelo. And I just remember being like, how am I going to do this? I don't have my voice. 3 sessions of Reiki, 3 sessions of acupuncture and chiropractic treatment. And I was clear, and I performed 3 to 4 times a week for 6 weeks. No problem.
Have you gotten any work done on any parts of your other body? Like, you know, other parts of your body at all?
Oh, I'll do acupuncture, I'll do cupping, I've done energy work on my whole body, I'll do soul retrieval.
Do you feel like it works?
Oh, 100%. For me, 100%.
Okay, I'm going to join you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm
going to join you.
I would love to share with anybody who is interested, because I feel like those are the types of things when they find you when you're ready, and they resonate with you when you're ready. When you're resistant and you're not open, it doesn't work. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
You have to be open to it. And I'm going to tell you, like, when I first went for the Reiki healing, the woman, I'm laying on this table, and even though I've always been kind of like open to alternative medicine and healing, I literally was laying on that table with like one eye open, like, let me really see what's going on here.
Where are the needles going?
Where are the needles? Come on, acupuncture. Okay,
Right.
she's got she's saging energy. She's a very spiritually blessed woman, so she's connecting to what she's feeling energetically in my body. And a lot of the stuff that she was saying was coming from past life things that she was picking up on energy. And the things that she was saying, girl, I don't know. I ain't never lived any of these things in this life, but the tears that would flow out of me on this table, uncontrollable, that I was like, what's happening to me? And I surrendered, and I was like, go, let it go. And she literally did this work over my throat, and I started coughing. Physical, this is what I'm saying, and crying and coughing and crying, and like everything inside of me was just like, are you acting, Melanie? And I was like, no, Melanie, I'm not acting. Like fighting within myself to be like, is this real?
Right.
And I just had to be like, you know this is real. Look at what's happening to your body.
Yeah.
Like, go with this. If this is where it brings healing, go. And so I just continue to allow myself to go, and I found healing in it. And so I've maintained the sacred belief in that for me, that anytime I feel out of sorts or I need a reset, I know the tools I can pull and call upon to bring myself back to me, you know? And I think that that's something that I encourage anyone to find.
Right.
I don't care what that is. Some people it's church.
Right.
Some people it's meditation. Some people it's exercise. I don't care what it is for you. You have to know what that thing is that helps you hit your reset button to be your best self. And you got to know when your stuff is off. You got to know self-awareness and like accountability and pattern. You have to be able to recognize this within yourself, because if not, you will continue to find yourself in the same situations. And I knew for damn sure I never wanted to find myself the place I found out when I lost my voice ever again.
That's wild to me.
Very wild stuff.
So she was telling you things that you never experienced, but you just connected to for whatever. It could have been in a different life or whatever.
100%. Yeah. Just
wow.
Yes. And that sounds crazy to some people.
But that trauma got removed, hence you getting your voice back.
It is so deep. Energy doesn't die. It doesn't die.
Yeah.
It doesn't die. And it's very real. And I think that like sometimes we think like, you know, you hear these stories of these kids, babies, children talking about, oh yeah, that was the building I used to live in.
Right. And you're just
girl,
like,
you ain't never lived in this building. You're just, oh, in Chicago. Yeah, that's where I used. And you hear these stories and people just are like these weird phenomenons. No, I fully believe
absolutely
that energy doesn't die, and people and spirits, and we are like, that's a whole other podcast.
Yeah. But that reset, do you feel has helped you as a mother? Do you now know how to, okay, I need a reset? Do you know how to have those moments where you got to take care of you so that you could be the best mother possible to your kids?
110%. Yes, absolutely. My son is he's a very deep feeler. He's got my spirits in him, for sure. He's like my greatest teacher, and I see it in him. And so I recognize that a lot of the stuff that I had to learn in that awakening time of my life came so that I could know how to nurture him, because he also needs a lot of nurturing on a spiritual level as well. And then just from a self-preservation standpoint, hell yeah. I don't feel good. I need to go do this thing. I need to do something for myself. I need my time.
Right.
I need and I need my kids to see me doing my time.
Ooh.
You know, and know that they honor it too.
Right.
It's not in punishment or like in resentment. It's holistic.
Right.
You know, I want my kids to see me being on stage and being like, that's who mommy is. I want my kids to see me meditating. I don't knock on the door. That's who mommy is. I want my kids to see me talking about life and God and experiences and being connected and being like, that's who my mom is. Not like, what is that?
Right.
I want my kids to know who I am.
Right.
So I don't hide from being who I am and expressing what I need.
Oh, I love this. You have 2 kids.
2 kids.
Your son is 7?
7, and my daughter is about to be 2.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're still in the thick of things.
Oh, into the thick of it.
Here we are.
Into the thick of it. Yes.
What are 3 things you wish you knew before having your first child? And you're like, man, why didn't anybody tell me
Oh
this?
my God. That's a whole other podcast in itself. Okay. I will take it back to when I found out I was pregnant. I only have one regret in my life. It was the fear I carried about being pregnant when I first found out I was pregnant because of my career.
Right. Which happens to so many of us.
And I would never, I was like, I gotta hide my pregnancy. The stress of getting dressed, the stress of like, I don't want anybody to know.
Yes.
Why?
Yeah.
Like, now granted, there is a time which I respect for women where they're like, hey, I want to get to this point before I announce. I want to make sure we're there.
Absolutely.
But for me, it was the shame. I felt like I was going to be shamed and outcasted. And I created all these thoughts in my head of stories that I'd heard of women who had been disrespected and discarded because they did get pregnant, and how it was like the scarlet letter, and oh, it's a wrap for you. You're not attainable. You're not desirable anymore. And how are you going to do it? And like all these things that were projected and planted into my head that stole joy from me really celebrating that there was life inside of me in the beginning.
Right.
And so my previous manager, she was a mother and a woman, and she's a woman, and I remember crying to her like, what does this mean? She's like, put that baby in a backpack and let's go on tour.
Right.
And I was like,
that's what happens. Yeah.
Right. Like,
keep going.
Why can't it be like that?
Right.
But there was a point when I was paralyzed with fear.
Right.
I remember going out with my husband now, and we were shopping for clothes, and I'm shopping in the men's section,
Right.
trying to figure out what am I going to wear. And I ran into Carrie Hilson.
Oh my gosh, this is great.
And Julissa Bermudez.
This
Shout
is
out
great.
to these lovely ladies. And they're out, and we ran into them at the store, and they're like buying like tight, small
course,
dresses and
right.
short skirts for parties. And my husband and I left, and I went and we sat outside of Chipotle, and I cried, and I'm like, I'm not going to be able to do that. And I just had this whole revelation that like everything was going to change, and I was so terrified about it.
Yeah.
But if I could go back and tell myself it's going to be okay, I tell anybody that it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Don't let fear steal your joy in those moments.
Right.
It is the most sacred thing that can happen. And carrying the fear doesn't do anything for anyone. No one else is caring. Like,
Absolutely.
no one else cares
Right.
except for you.
Right.
So don't let anyone else's projections create fear within your joy. That's what I would tell myself.
And I found out that you were pregnant the last time I saw you.
Yes.
You were 2 weeks pregnant.
Yeah, I was so
So I
early.
totally understand you
Yeah.
not sharing it. And
Yeah.
of course, I had no idea.
Yeah.
But I think that's great insight. But, those thoughts that you had didn't come out of nowhere. We've been programmed within society to look at, if you're going to be a mom, that's it. Everything else you had going on in your life is over. Your career, your circles of
Your
friendships,
body.
you're done. You just have to accept this for what it is. And so the thoughts you had, it didn't come out of nowhere.
No, they didn't. They didn't come out of nowhere. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of change that comes with motherhood.
Of course.
Immense. You are never the same
Right.
person. Anybody who's just like, motherhood didn't change me, I'm like, bullshit.
Right. It changed
Motherhood
you.
changes you.
Yeah.
There's no way you can't. If you feel connected to yourself, that's beautiful.
Right.
But you are not the same. Your body's not the same. Your body created life.
Right.
You're not the same.
Right.
Okay. It's just never the same. So I think honor it rather
Right.
than like be fearful of it or just go with it. Like people are scared of change anyways.
Right.
Right. This is some of the biggest change you're going to go through in your life as a woman if you have children. But embrace that that's just what it is. And embrace that it will be constant change and there's no reversing it. If you never had children, you are going to continue to change.
Exactly.
You're going to continue to age. You're
Right.
going to continue to grow. You're going to want to be different versions of yourself.
Right.
Motherhood can be one of them.
Right.
It's okay. I'm so passionate about women and mothers. I could talk about it for forever.
Yeah, no, I love it. And I think it's important to hear because it's things that people really don't want to discuss. And it's
Yeah.
okay to say that I'm evolving and I'm changing with the times. And that change for me has been motherhood. I'm sure it changed your entire life, right? Do you feel like everything, even the way
Everything.
you approach music, do you feel like motherhood changed how you approach music?
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes, because I think some of the things that I think I'm much more rooted in truth and knowing that my children, I'm creating music in a time where my children are a part of this. And when they get older and listen to it, I want them to understand how they're reflected in this and who I was during this time, good, bad, or indifferent.
Yeah.
Like if there's some vulnerability that comes out in this time of my life, I also want my children to be like, oh, that's what that was with my mom when she was going through that.
Yeah.
And if they learn that through the music, that's fine.
You had posted that it's important to share your traumas or normalize being honest and talking about family secrets with your children so that the trauma doesn't continue.
Yeah.
That's hard.
Yeah, it is hard.
Why
but
is it important? Why is that important for you?
I think we discredit children when we think that they don't deserve to know the truth.
Right.
Children come from a lens of, oh, okay. And why? Oh, okay.
Right.
Like we are the ones that can either shape how that story is told. I speak to my children very candidly, like about anything, like whatever they want to know about, we can talk about it. My son especially, because he asks very deep questions and he's a deep thinker. I just think that it is important. And it's interesting. I was talking to my mom recently and she was sharing things to me about my grandmother and things that I was like, what? This happened?
Oh my.
And
Yeah.
then I'd look and it explains so much to me about like, oh, well, that's why you were that way, And I think it is important. I think we are evolving, and I think children are really wise. And of course, there's certain details that are beyond the maturity level of a child.
Obviously age appropriate. Right.
Age appropriate.
You have to gauge that.
But
right.
I don't believe in keeping secrets. Like my children and I see when their dad and I argue.
Right.
I'm not trying to hide that we can disagree. But you know what they also see? They also see us make up.
Right.
They also see us have love and respect for one another.
Right.
And we can talk about everything, like anything. Like my son recently realized that some of his friends' parents are divorced and what that could mean. And so one day my husband and I were getting into an argument and my son brought up the idea, like, are you and dad going to get a divorce? And I was like, no, we're not going to get a divorce. But it is important that you understand that daddy and I can disagree certain times, but you see daddy and I love each other and we love you. And you need to see that daddy and I can disagree and also then make up, you know, and it's okay. And we're always going to try to do that. I think it's important. I don't want my kids to ever feel like you didn't tell, or we have this deep, dark secret, and oh, this is why I am the way that I am. That's why you were. I don't. I think that in the right timing, your children deserve to know the truth of who you are.
Right.
And there's no sense, like, I don't want to pretend to be one version to my kids and then be another version out in the world.
Right.
That's exhausting.
Absolutely.
I want to be authentic. When I enter my home, when I step on that stage, when I sit with you in this microphone, I don't want to have to second guess who I am.
Right.
I
And
want
keep up with it.
Keep up with it.
That's crazy.
Oh, well, what did I say and who did I say? No.
It's fine.
This is me.
This is
across the board.
This is what it is.
Yeah.
You had also talked about you and your husband getting married, and before that time.
Yeah.
Okay, so the wedding got postponed because of COVID a couple times, right?
Yes.
And then you both broke up before the wedding?
No.
What was it?
So my husband and I met. We dated for a year. We broke up for 6 months. Then we got back together, and then I was pregnant.
Wait, hold on. Wait, why did you guys break up?
Oh, how long do you got? No.
Well, whose fault was it?
You know what? It was no one's fault.
Oh, this is nice.
It was no one's fault.
Beautiful breakup.
It was a beautiful breakup, which is why we're married.
Yeah.
because no one was at fault. This was a place of life where I had gotten to through healing, through growth, compassion, maturity, evolution, understanding that timing is a huge factor in, I met the right person at the wrong time.
Right.
I met him in a time where he hadn't had space or time to even work on himself.
Right.
I had done hey, I've been single for a year and a half.
Right.
I know who I am. I know what I want. I am the type of person where if I love you, I'm going to tell you I love you. I don't care if you think it's too soon or too early. If I love you, I will tell you. If that scares you off, you're not my person.
Absolutely.
I am not worried about this. Like, how I feel is how I feel.
Right.
How you feel is different.
How you feel. Right.
If you don't feel the same, it's never going to work anyways.
Right.
So cool. So we had dated for a year, and we had just kind of come to this impasse where I was like, oh, you don't know what you want for life. You don't know what you want for yourself. Yeah. You love me, but you haven't even figured out what that means.
Right.
And I can't be with you on that journey because it's not my journey, and it can't be at the expense of my feelings and my love.
Right.
So we had to break up. So we broke up, and I told him never, don't call me. I said, don't call me. Don't call me. Don't call me to check on me. Don't call me to ask me how the weather is. I'm going to be fine. Don't call me for small talk. Call me when you have something real to say. And you know who I am, so don't call me for small talk. So he reached out once and he tried to do some small talk, and I was like, what did I tell you? Like, we don't need to talk about this, you know? And then he called again later on, like at about towards the end of the 6 months, and he was like, just put in his bid real hard and real heavy. And I almost didn't give him the opportunity to say what it is that he needed to say, because I was like, oh, sure, of course you miss me. Like, it's been 6 months. But at the same time, this was somebody that I still loved and cared for very deeply. And truly, I think inside I knew there was great purpose for us. And so I heard him out. And I just went with the fact that I was like, this is him. Like, it's him. And whatever it's going to be, you choose him. And so I chose him. And so I chose him in that moment to know that even if it had gone up in flames, 6 months later, I was willing to choose you to try. And it didn't. Within 6 months, I was pregnant. And so as soon as I got pregnant, I was like, oh,
my goodness,
this is why we have to be together.
Right.
And when our son was born, it was just further confirmation that this was the work that we had to do together.
And the breakup had to happen.
100%.
Because it's part of the foundation of getting through the hard times together so that it can work in the marriage and, raising a child together.
Yes, 100%.
Wow, everything.
That journey taught us so much about partnership.
Yes.
And it gave me the trust I needed to be like, we're going to have a family together.
Yeah.
And it's going to be us, and we're in this together, and we're going to raise this baby, and you're my person.
Was there a red flag that you would have shut it all down for? Was there something you're just like, I absolutely won't do this? I don't care how strong the bid is, whether it's him or somebody else at that time of your life.
It's an unwillingness to grow. I cannot. That would be the end of any relationship, friendship or business relationship otherwise.
Right.
If you have dug your feet into the sand and said, this is as far as I'm willing to grow and work, then there's nothing left to discuss. And I've seen that in previous relationships, and that's how I knew it was over. You can't make someone grow with you. If they say this is where I'm at and I'm comfortable here, I believe you.
Oh, I believe them.
I'm going to believe you.
100%.
I'm not going to be like, no, but I believe you can be. No, I'm going to take for you what you say you're willing to do and not do. And my husband and my partner, no matter how difficult it gets, no matter how different we are, he is always willing to try.
Right.
And so am I. And so as long as there's that to me is like how people grow together. Because people can grow as long as you don't grow apart.
That's the key.
You know?
Right.
Just don't grow apart. You can grow at different rates.
Yeah.
But if you grow apart, it's hard.
Yeah.
So as long as you're willing to still grow together. So an unwillingness to grow, that's a red flag. That's a done. That's like a non-negotiable. No, I'm not doing it.
Did you feel second child guilt? I saw this online where some moms have, just expressed like, hey, I was hesitant to have second baby because I felt like, I can't focus on baby number one. What did you go through when you decided to have a second baby?
So, I mean, in all honesty, I was like, oh, I'm one and done. I had my son and I was like, oh, check.
Yeah.
I love motherhood. My son is here. My husband, we're trifecta, the triangle. I'm great. I don't need another baby. I was good. And then COVID happened. And then you get locked in the house.
Yeah.
And to be honest, the thing that I love is that my husband and I actually fell more in love during the pandemic.
I agree.
Some people broke up. Some people have faced really hard difficulties. They couldn't.
Sure.
They had to face themselves in their relationships and realize that they weren't as compatible as they thought. My husband and I are very compatible. And that's the year we chose to get married.
Yeah.
And so we chose to get married to bring it back to what you brought up. We tried to have a wedding, but COVID was like, no.
Right.
So we eloped and we told our parents, we're going to go get married at this little place down the street. We're going to sign paperwork, just the two of us.
Right.
And we did.
Right.
And it was so beautiful because it was just us. And I loved, it's one of my favorite memories. And I had always said, though, if I were to ever have another child, I wanted to be married. I did say this. Now, mind you, when I had my son originally, I wasn't married.
Right.
But I also told him as soon as I got pregnant, I was like, oh, and by the way, don't propose to me. I told him straight up.
Right.
I was like, we're not getting married now. We're going to have this baby. We're going to be a family. I'm not in a rush to get married.
Don't do it because of that.
Don't do it because of that.
Right.
Let's do it when we're ready to do it. Because
Right.
we weren't engaged anyways. So it was like, no, we weren't talking about engagement.
Right.
We were talking about the future.
Sure.
But we weren't talking about engagement. So the baby came first. Fine. But I had always said, if I were to ever have another child, I would like to be married. And so
wow,
we got married, and 4 months later, I was pregnant with our daughter.
Oh, so sweet.
Yes. 4 months
Planned,
later.
unplanned?
Unplanned.
Yeah.
Unplanned. But
everything happens
but God's
for a
plan.
reason. That's right.
Unplanned, God's plan.
The greatest
and
plan
when
that there
when
is,
I
yeah.
tell you, some of those things came back in my mind. Oh my gosh, the pandemic. It's 2001.
Right.
You were just about to start to get to work again. It was all about to be this thing. And then it was like, wait, you're pregnant. You got to stay in the house a little bit longer. You can't go out in the world. You're pregnant.
Right.
Like what? All these things started happening. And then I paused and I was like, wait a second. You just bought your home together because we had just moved into a new, like our dream home together. We had just gotten married. I had literally just got emancipated from everything that was holding me back contractually from my music career. And then I got pregnant. And I was like,
oh,
why
free.
would you think that this is not a gift? Immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Now, mind you, I didn't enjoy being pregnant because I was really uncomfortable pregnant. So I was bracing myself for being like, oh my gosh, what's this pregnancy going to be like?
And you've shared that. You've shared
Oh
it
yeah,
publicly.
I'm very candid about it.
Your first pregnancy and, just how hard it was for you.
It was so hard on me physically. And to some women, very different because
Sure.
I didn't have morning sickness and all the things that people have sometimes when they have symptoms. But I sure as hell put on 80 pounds.
Right.
And I was uncomfortable in my body and developed all kinds of carpal tunnel and sciatica and was huge. I went from being like this version of myself to this version of myself, and it was so uncomfortable. My feet were swollen. I couldn't wear shoes. Like it was crazy. I developed preeclampsia during my delivery. Like it was all
Which is scary.
Terrifying.
Extremely scary.
Terrifying. So these things came back to me like, what's
no.
this journey going to be like?
Right.
But again, information is your gift. So I knew how my body was going to respond this time. So I was like, get in front of it. Get the right help. Get the right support. Look at your life right now. You have a home that can support a growing family.
Right.
You have a husband.
Right.
You have an older sibling that's going to be wonderful for your daughter coming. You have love. You have peace. You have freedom. Why would you be scared?
Right.
And I immediately let it go. And I immediately started planning about how I was going to announce my pregnancy.
I love this.
Immediately. And I was
love
like,
it.
oh, we're going. And then the fear that I had was having a daughter.
Why?
Oh my gosh. Because I am a girl and I know who's coming for me. And so I thought,
oh yeah, she's coming.
I literally was like, oh, I'm having boys. Like if I'm and then all of a sudden my son came to me and he was like, this is my sister.
Wait, he knew this before?
Oh yeah. He told me that before I'd even told him I was pregnant, he turned to me and said, Mom, I need a little sister. I need a baby girl. Where can I get a baby girl from?
Stop it. Stop it.
I looked at my husband. I said, ask your father. That's what I said. And this was before we had found out the sex of the baby. This was before I even told anyone I was pregnant.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. This is insanity
and
right
then
now.
Kaya Love was born on December 18th, 2021, on a full moon. And she is exactly who we needed in our
How?
family.
In which way?
Oh, she's all fire. She's all fire.
She's coming for you.
She's coming for me. And she's coming for me. And you had asked me earlier, what are the ways that your healing helped you become a mom? She's come for me to let me know that I have more healing to do. She's coming to show me whatever 4-year-old Melanie wasn't healed, you need to heal it for her. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Whatever things you have unresolved that you felt with your mom or your elders or anybody who work on it. Whatever things that you feel are programmed in the way that you're supposed to raise a daughter, unprogram it.
I love it.
Be her friend and see who she is. And if she's fiery, let her burn. Just don't let her burn the house down.
Ooh.
Let her burn. Let her be.
Yes.
Because that's exactly it. And when I think about me as a child,
Yeah.
my mom has actually said it to me. She was like, Melanie, you were so bright. Because she was so strict on me, my mom. My mom
Right.
was so strict. And I used to have to ask her, why, Mom? Why were you so hard on me? She's like, Melanie, because you were so bright and so big that I
Right.
didn't know what else to do but to just try to wrangle you in.
Right.
Right?
Wow.
And she was just like, it was such a big personality. People were drawn to it. And so I see my daughter and I'm like, all right, burn bright, baby. Burn bright. Just don't burn the house down.
What do you feel like you're going to do differently with her, than your mom doing with you?
I'm going to listen to her. I'm going to listen to her. I'm going to honor when she says that she wants something and that she needs something and that she within reason, of course.
Right.
But at the same time, I want her to know that like I'm a safe space for her.
Yeah.
I want her to feel like she can
Ooh.
tell me
Yes.
anything and I'm not going to punish you or judge you
Right.
for your truth.
Right.
I'm going to guide you and I'm going to give you something to think about based off of my experience and wisdom as a woman. But I want you to learn and I want you to feel safe in learning with me. I don't want you to fear me. I want you to I want you to respect me. There are things that I'm going to know better than you, but I'm going to honor the fact that you know yourself better than I know
That's
you.
a fact.
You know yourself better than I know you, girl.
That's a fact.
I'm observing you. You came as you are.
Yeah.
So let me learn who you are.
How did you get to this point, though, to understand this is what you're going to give to her? Like, how did you realize that's not what you had?
I learned that, and it's funny that you asked this question because this is a recent revelation for me. So I recently understood the importance of me parenting my daughter different than my son because first of all, I said this before, my son is my greatest teacher and he taught me a lot about how smart and how wise children are. But I recently went home to Toronto And my mom and I were bickering. We were fighting. And I was like, not at this big old age.
Right.
We still are fighting like this when I was 17.
Right.
Why are we doing this?
Right.
And I was like, oh, because there's still things there that never got healed.
Right.
Because the reason why you turn into a bubbling mess of emotions, Melanie, is because 4-year-old self still feels like she didn't get heard by her mom.
Right.
In the 80s.
That's
you know
right.
what I mean?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
With my daughter now, I'm just like, no, I do not want to carry this dynamic that like you have to do as I say, you know, because that's how I was brought up.
Right.
No, like, and also when we do argue, I don't want to go into the overly emotional version of myself when I feel triggered
Right.
or attacked or emotional or unheard by my daughter.
Right.
Because I haven't healed that part of myself
Right.
that has nothing to do with her.
That's right.
Because if she figures out that that's a trigger and a weakness for me, and how am I gonna guide her?
Right.
How am I going to be comfort to her if
Right.
I don't have my emotions in check?
Right.
And I feel petty or attacked by my daughter. How
Right.
do I not take things personally?
Right.
And feel
which moms do.
and feel disrespected by
Right.
everything that you say because you express the truth of yourself.
Right.
It's not about me.
Right.
It's your truth.
Yes.
So I started talking about that with my therapist.
Oh, so you feel like, okay, you go to therapy.
Oh, 100%.
And you feel like it's helped.
Oh, yes. Yeah. There's the mother wound that we all can have.
Absolutely.
In our relationship is a real thing. And that shows up in our relationships, our partnerships with our children. And I'm big on not wanting to repeat the history
That's
of the
right.
things that we know. I feel like having children in my 30s versus my 20s gave me insight to say, you know that you can unlearn certain things, right? You know that like it's a limiting belief to put on yourself to say, well, that's just how I am.
Right.
That is the most ignorant shit you could ever say to yourself. And if you show your children that that's who you are, you're just teaching them a fixed mindset versus a growth mindset.
Right.
No, show your children that you're willing to apologize to them.
Oh,
Show your
man.
children that you're willing to grow and say, my bad.
Right.
Show your children, because that's how they'll learn to be able to have accountability for themselves.
So what does that do with your relationship with your mom? Right? If like, let's say
Yeah.
she's not, obviously, I'm convinced like the older parents they're just stuck in their ways.
Oh, 100%.
Unless they want to do their own thing, right?
100%.
Which is rare that they want
Yes.
to continue working on themselves.
Yes.
So you're healing. What does that do in your relationship with your mom?
I'm healing for both of us.
Even if her actions don't change.
I'm healing my mother by me going to therapy 100%.
How though?
Because I won't respond the way my unhealed self has responded to her unhealed self.
Gotcha. But does that upset her?
No. It does. My mom has definitely been like, don't bring that therapy talk to me.
Yeah.
You know, but,
100%.
but at the same time, in another breath, she also will have moments of like, you know, Melanie, I heard what you said. Because
That's big though, right?
Huge. Oh, my mom and I have a great relationship.
That's amazing.
We have a beautiful relationship. And even though there is a power struggle for most of my life, you know, with her being a Caribbean, strong Aries woman, I also see the ways in which my mom admires who I've become as a woman.
Oh my gosh,
And she's expressed it to me.
I love this.
Yeah, she has expressed it to me. Even though we might still argue or fight and old habits die hard, I love that we've gotten to a place where my mom has honored the evolved version of myself.
Let's go.
Yeah. And I appreciate that. And even when she doesn't, I just am evolved enough to remove myself and not take it personally now.
Come on.
Yeah. But of course, of course you still want your mom to be like, it's okay.
Right.
You still want your mom to be like,
oh yeah,
I see you, I hear you. But again, old habits die hard.
Right.
My mom, for herself, for her younger version who never got healed.
Right.
That's who comes out.
Oh, yes.
In those moments of, I'm stuck in my ways.
Yeah.
You know? But like, are you, or do you want to be different? Or can I love you for not being different? And that's my work. Can I love you if you never change? Can I love you if you continue to just do the things that I'm just like, Mom, you still do that?
Right.
Can I still love you for that?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's my work to do, not hers. It's her work to decide if she wants to continue to do the things that she does.
What about your kids? What do you want your kids to remember you for?
I want my kids to remember me for nurturing love. You know, well, you're talking about it. My kids have been under the weather this week. And, you know, my first thought was, I'm going to take off my clothes and let my daughter lay on me naked, skin to skin, so I can break her fever. And I did. And I felt like that is the love that I have to offer my children. That is the healing that I know, the deep spiritual love that I feel to nurture them where they feel safe, to rub their head and know that like mom's touch is my safe space. Like that thing. And I feel that from my mom. Like I'll go, if I don't feel good, I'll go lay on my mom's lap right now and she will rub my head. And I know, all is
I'm
right
safe.
in the world.
I'm good.
I know my mother's love. And so that's what I want my children to know. I know my mother's love. Yeah.
Oh, I love this.
Yeah.
Do you still homeschool?
No.
Okay, so tell us about that, because you were homeschooling your son
during
your
the
oldest.
pandemic.
Okay.
During the pandemic.
Oh, it was only during the pandemic.
Well, he started school right when the pandemic happened, so he never really got into school till so as soon as the pandemic happened and everything shut down, we just immediately switched to homeschool. He's now in public school. I don't want my daughter to ever see the inside of a school. I want her to be homeschooled.
Really?
And so I would love to bring my son back to homeschool. Just figuring out the ways to facilitate it.
It's hard.
It's so hard because personally, I am not a homeschool teacher.
Right.
I need a homeschool teacher.
Right.
And just in this season of our lives where we're at logistically working through that, that's what I would like to be able to do and offer my children. And it's not necessarily more so of a slight against the public school system or the institution of school, more so than the type of life I want to curate for my children and myself. I want a life where I can pick up and say, oh, you're learning French? Let's go to Paris.
Right.
Let's go. Let's go. You're learning about safari? Let's go to Africa.
Right.
Let's go see about these things. You want to learn about World War II, whatever it is. Like, let's go and travel and not be beholden to a schedule of holiday breaks and what that looks like, and learning at your own pace and learning in your own way. You know, I think that motherhood has shown me that there's no one way to do anything.
Yes.
And so you literally have to look at your children as individuals and like, what is the best way? I put my son in Montessori school. He hated it. Every day of his life.
What is that exactly?
It's just it's a different way of learning. It's more independent, forward learning.
Okay.
The children are taught independence at a very young age. How to get their own snack, how to wash dishes, very young, like how to independently play. My son is not that child. My son is emotional. He wants interaction and socialization. And my daughter, on the other hand, she would thrive in an independent mindset because that's who she is.
Right.
From 6 months,
the solo artist, like mom.
She was scooting. but I do love people as well. My husband though loves independent.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. But again, seeing your children for who they are and what they need.
Right.
I think it's a privilege to be able to create a life where I can decide what my children need.
Right.
While exposing them to what the world is.
Right.
And allowing them to find their way through it. And I can say it's a privilege because not everybody has it.
Oh, of course.
So, listen, I didn't. I grew up, my mom sent me to the school that was right down the street. There was no option of, oh, well, you show interest in this, we're going to send you to this special art school.
You got what you got. And this is the food that we have for dinner. This is what it is. Do it.
Exactly. But with my kids,
they have options.
Girl, they got sometimes too many options.
Yes.
And I be looking at myself being like, the ancestors are like, baby, trim it down to 2 options, I'd be like, well, what would you like? No. And I realize that now that I have multiple kids.
Yeah.
Because now I'm like, I can't sustain that. When you have one kid, it's so easy to cater to this one kid. And I don't think I answered this question fully when you asked me earlier on, but I said I was one and done. My children are 6 years apart. So
you really were.
I gave so much attention to my eldest that I don't feel like I necessarily could have given him more than I did. Now he's more independent. He has a social life. He has activities, extracurricular activities, so he's in a different stage of his life. But did I enjoy giving him my undivided? I never wanted kids back to back. Never. Never. God bless the people who do 2 under 2.
Right.
That sounds like utter chaos to me. Because having one was hard enough.
Right. Yes.
And navigating it as a new mother, you're just like, am I doing this right?
Right.
Like, you're just always, is this right? Is this what so-and-so is doing? Is this what you just don't know. And so I didn't want to have to think about finding my way, dealing with postpartum recovery, depression, all the emotions, the hormone regulations, a baby, a husband, just life. I
Right.
couldn't envision taking care of anyone else.
Right.
So I actually really love that my children have this gap of age, because I'm much more relaxed as a mom now with my daughter than I was with my son. I get to enjoy her more. I'm not as panicked.
Right.
And I also have help. I have a
Yes.
7-year-old that loves
Go
his
grab
sister.
that. Go
Yes,
get that.
go grab that. Watch your sister for 2 seconds while I go to the bathroom.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, and she loves him and they love her. And honestly, I think looking back now, seeing what an amazing big brother he is, it would have been such a disservice that he didn't get to be a big brother.
Oh.
Because he's so good at it. And to rob him of that experience, he would have been fine.
Right.
He wouldn't have known the difference and it would have been fine. But to know that he is so beautiful in that role, any doubt I would have ever had is just out the window.
What would you say is the hardest part about being a mom?
It is balancing who Melanie Fiona, the artist, is and the space that she needs to create and fully thrive, and also who Melanie is as a mother.
Yes.
Because,
Yes,
and I
yes,
think
yes.
I was afraid to admit that for many years.
Yes, of course.
But I'm not. I said this to my husband. I was like, for me, I think to make my greatest work, I might have to leave for 3 months.
Right. Oh.
But I'm a mom.
Right.
Could I do that? You know what? I absolutely could do it.
Right.
Do I want to do it? No.
Right.
I don't. And that's that. That's that.
Right.
Could I leave for 3 months and it would be perfectly fine? Yes. Is their dad in their life? Is he an incredible parent? Yes. Do I have support systems that I can call in that I know would love and care and protect my children in my absence and keep a sustained, routine, healthy environment for them? Yes. But do I want to be away from my kids for 3 months? No.
Right.
I don't. But does Melanie Fiona need clear space to be in the fields and the gutter of writing that album? Yes. So finding that balance is difficult for me.
Yes.
But what I do is I take time.
Right.
Okay, so I went to Toronto for a few days. I worked up there.
I love it.
And then I come home and I feel rejuvenated. I have shows. I go in Atlanta. I go on a little mini tour. I
Right.
come back. I get to be myself and then I come home.
It's so important.
It's so important.
And I love that you're doing this and focusing on it.
Yes, but I have to acknowledge that it's very hard for them to coexist. It's very hard for me to be in the studio and think, oh, now I got to go home and make dinner.
Yeah. The
So,
options. I need to get the options for the kids.
Exactly.
Yes.
So what I do is I create, now I've given myself permission to ask for the help that I need and not feel guilty that I'm not doing everything. Okay. You didn't make dinner tonight. You ordered.
Right.
Their aunt make dinner for them tonight.
That's it.
It's fine. Their aunt loves them. They're building a relationship with their auntie.
Right.
It's fine.
Right. And you
You
know
know?
what? I think it's important because before we even started the conversation, you were talking about this idea that we have of how we should be as a mother.
Yes.
Right. You probably wanted to make them food, homemade food,
Girl,
all day,
all organic.
Right.
Everything.
Yes.
Girl.
We're just trying to hold on and get it done.
I'm just trying to hold on. It's just like, are your children happy? Yes.
Healthy, safe.
And I think about how many days, first of all, how much trash I used to eat, one. Two, I also think about how many days that like, I was like, oh, I don't feel like eating that. And my mom was like, great, then you're not eating.
Done.
Go to sleep.
Right.
I'm alive. I made it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like when I sit there and my kids are like, if my son doesn't like something, and I'm always going to try to like consider what everyone likes because they're my family and I love them. So I want to do that. But also it's just like, no, my son will eat pizza every day if I let him. But I won't let you.
Right.
I won't let you. So tonight we're having soup. I made it from scratch.
Right.
But tomorrow we'll go to a restaurant.
Right.
Or whatever, So like, I think just allowing that every day can be different.
That's
it's
right.
okay. I'm a very big supporter of a strong foundation, So I want my kids to know what healthy looks like.
That's right.
What balance looks like, what rest look like, what boundaries look like. I do want them to know those things and I implement those things as I can. But then it's like certain nights it's like, all right, we're just gonna stay up late. And this is gonna be a core memory.
Do they know how much of a phenomenal singer you are? Like, do they know? Or?
So I think my son knows to an extent. My son is so funny. He'll say things like, one time I came home and I had I was complaining about some airline that like did me so
Right.
dirty. I mean, everyone dirty.
Right.
No one is safe from the airlines. And my son was just like, I wish I would have been there. I would have said to that gate agent, you don't talk to the beautiful Melanie Fiona like that. She's a great singer, the great Melanie Fiona. And I don't know if he just does that because I'm his mom or if he really is like,
obsessed.
My mom is like an exceptional singer. It's interesting. My daughter has no clue because she's never seen
Right.
it, you know? So she knows I sing. She loves when I sing. And I have this blown up picture in our hallway. This photographer took this picture of me on stage, and it's one of my favorite pictures because it's kind of blurry and it looks like art. And so every time she walks by it, she goes, "Mommy singing la la la."
Oh.
And she's a little dancer. She's a little singer. She's really funny. And so I think one day she'll understand that Mom's a pretty good singer.
Yeah.
She's paying attention. Yeah.
Do you want your kids to be in the music industry?
No.
I feel it.
No.
I get it.
And granted, I don't not want them to either. I just want them to have their own identity.
Right.
I
Whatever
don't-
that is.
Yes. I don't want them to feel, and both my husband and I are in the music industry.
Right.
And my husband can sing as well. So like, I remember one time he was putting our son to sleep and I was listening on the monitor in another room and he was singing and I'm listening. I'm like, this kid doesn't know how lucky he is. I'm like, anybody that puts him to sleep is giving vocals.
Yes.
And I'm like, what a life. This kid, he's so spoiled, he doesn't even know it, you know? So it's really funny to think about that. But I don't want my kids to feel like they have to do music because we do music.
Right.
They're around music all the time. They love music naturally. So for me, I just like, whatever. Like, do whatever you want. My son is a creative already. He loves stories. He loves movies. He's a deep feeler. My daughter, we gonna see.
We're gonna see.
We gonna see who she gonna turn.
Just
out to
don't
be.
burn the house.
Just don't burn the house down, girl. Yeah, just don't burn the house down.
When can we expect this new music?
Oh, 2024.
Okay.
Yeah, it's coming.
I'm not gonna press you too much about
No,
it because
it's
I'm sure
coming.
we'll have a conversation about it. But I'm ready for it. Everyone's ready for it.
Thank you. I will be sure to let you know.
Please.
In real time when it's coming, but I'm just so excited. And again, this situation that I'm in this to release this music, it's just the freest I've ever felt,
Right.
and it's just a different level of support. I'm creating and doing it with people who are my friends,
Oh.
and who know me and who are like, "Yo, what you working on? I got you," you know.
That's beautiful.
And that is a gift to me
Yeah.
in this season of my life, to know that I am purely surrounded by friends and family, and that's a dream come true for me.
I'm so happy right now. We have to have a part 2.
Oh,
I
yeah.
could keep you here all day and have this conversation,
Yeah.
but thank you for
Thank
coming today.
you.
I'm like filled with so much love and joy. And again, I need to do a better job of keeping in touch.
You doing
So
the
much to catch
Girl,
up
you doing the
on.
best you can with what you got.
Absolutely. But I appreciate you taking the time because I know how much energy it takes to try to coordinate the house and make sure the kids are good, to try to step out and be here today. I don't take it lightly. And I am just happy to hear that we are going to be getting new music.
Yeah.
And I love everything you do. I know you have your podcast. I know you have Melly Belly.
Yes.
Okay, so what is Melly Belly going to grow into? Tell me a little bit before we wrap this up, because look, people love what you have to say, and I'm sure you know this now.
Thank you. You know, that to me is actually, I think one of my greatest realizations is my voice is my gift. And I have to use it in many ways, not just for music. And that's why I will
Yeah.
use the energy to come here and speak with you, because
you.
I think it's really important. When it comes to motherhood, I'm so passionate about it. When I had my son, that was when my Melly Belly journey began. And then I was still really heavily in music at that time. And so it kind of took a little bit of a back seat. And then when I got pregnant with my daughter, it was this call back to, this is life's work for you. And so I started a community called Melly Belly Mamas on Instagram. But Melly Belly will be a community. It will be a hub and a resource for women and mothers and parents alike to go and find community and find all of my favorite things that I love and think can help women and mothers in motherhood. It's for women, it's for moms, and it's for, I always say this, when I think about Melly Belly, it's moms first.
Ooh, I love it. Yes, Mom.
Moms first,
Yes.
because this is where it begins.
Absolutely.
It begins with us. Everything, all life.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
Wait, is that photo on it you?
Yes, my pregnancy photo. Yes.
It's so beautiful.
Thank you.
Oh, it's
Thank
so
you.
gorgeous.
I have to print those out, and
Please.
and that to me, that logo, yeah, my
It's
girl.
beautiful.
So, and let me tell you the backstory behind that. Again, first pregnancy, wasn't thinking about baby showers, maternity shoots. I was just like, okay, here we go. And my girlfriend, who was a photographer part-time, was like, did you do a maternity shoot? And I was like, no. And she's like,
do it.
Girl, you have to shoot your belly. Like, you didn't take any photos with your belly. I said, no. She said, I'm coming over. I was due 5 days later.
Oh my goodness.
That's how I was pregnant.
It's a beautiful photo.
And she shot me against a wall with a spotlight, and I flung my hair up in the air, and my body, like the hair looks like it's on fire up in the air, and it's just this huge belly, my breast and my belly, and it's just a silhouette of me, and it is literally one of my favorite pictures, and that's the icon of the Melly Belly on Instagram.
I love it.
And we keep it real on Melly Belly.
Okay.
I be in funny ways, in emotional ways, we keep it real. Anything that you want to talk about, we're going to talk about it, because when I tell you
it's real.
It's real.
Oh,
there
yes.
is nothing that anybody could tell me now about motherhood that I would be surprised by.
No.
So that's what it is. If you want to know about you want to hear some funny things that you want to prepare yourself, you want to know. And then I'm also, I told you this, I do a podcast with 3 other moms who have become my dear friends. It's called The Mama's Den.
Yeah.
And we keeps it all the way real on there as well. And the thing that I love about that podcast too is that our audience, not even everybody's moms. It's women and people who don't even have kids.
Just momming or lifing and being woman in this world.
And they just want to know how other women are doing it.
There we go.
How are you
don't
doing
have to
it?
be a mom.
You don't have to be a
listen.
mom. How are you existing?
Right.
You know?
Or it could even be a reflection of their relationship with their mom
With
or their
moms.
family dynamics.
And we've had our moms on. Like
That's right.
Moms are the shit.
Moms are the best. So if you haven't, call your mom and tell your mom how incredible your mom is. That's probably your
It's
kids.
my husband calling. See, I put it on Do Not Disturb. The only person who can get through are my favorite people.
Okay, wrap it up. The options are needed on the table right now.
Yes.
Get the food ready.
Get the food ready.